two, one. What is going on, guys? This is a Distance Theory podcast, and today I'm with my co-host Ryan Mizzozo, and our guests today are Brian and Alex Zangara. Welcome to the podcast, guys. Ryan, you got anything to say, Mr. Co-host?
No, this is gonna be a different type of podcast, so I'm gonna let you do most
Yeah,
of it.
so we're doing another Zoom podcast today, just because Ryan's like 1,000 miles away from me right now.
Social distancing.
Yeah. So currently I'm actually in Alex's house right now. But we're just in different rooms right now recording. And so we're at his house in Clemson, South Carolina. And so let's get it rolling.
You introduce or whatever.
All right, so Alex is he's my teammate, and he's a cross-country runner for Charleston Southern University, the university I run for. And he's you could speak for yourself, like feel free to butt in, because I don't really know all your PRs and whatever, but he's a 15:01 5K runner, so that should tell you a lot right now.
4:17 the mile.
Yeah.
That's about it.
That's about it. 3K 8:43.
It could be better, but
but yeah. And then his father on the left, or on the right. Introduce yourself too, because like I said,
I'm Dad, Brian Zangara. I've been blessed to be able to coach Alex through his running career in high school before college, and that's where I'm coming in.
Yeah,
kind of
and
So and he's wearing. I just want to point out that he's wearing the left AirPod in the right ear. If you can't tell, we're wearing them in the same ear. I don't know why. I gave him the left
Nobody
AirPod.
would notice that on.
It's backwards. It's literally facing the back of your ear instead of in your ear.
You think someone's going to be going,
you want to trade me?
Look,
I'll wear the left
this
side.
guy's got it in the wrong ear.
Do you want to wear it in the right ear?
there you go. Okay.
Yeah, we good? Aesthetically pleasing.
You probably hear better.
Just for the record, I'm 48 years old, and we do things differently at our age.
So actually, how could we forget? So guys, Mr. Brian Zangara was a runner for Eastern Michigan's cross country team back in the day, way back in the day.
Back in the day, yes. Yeah.
And fortunately, he was able to break 5 in the mile when he was in. No, I'm playing. No, but
I knew where he was going.
Garrett likes to talk crap to him all the time, and then my dad likes to flex that his distance PRs are faster than Garrett's, because Garrett's hasn't ran them.
I've literally never,
for 4 years, or never has ran them.
And I never ran shorter.
Even though Garrett could probably beat him in a tempo run, he just had
it. Yeah, but you got anything to say, Ryan, or ask about Mr. Brian or Alex?
No, the podcast is over here.
All right, so if you guys didn't know, so Mr. Brian Zangara, he was a coach back in the late 90s and early 2000s. He was a high school coach, a very good one, to say the least, in the state of Michigan, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Michigan.
And he coached like a lot of great cross guys, and recently he did coach this one guy in the state of South Carolina who didn't have a high school coach.
Kind of.
Yeah. Well, kind of had a coach. But anyways, he coached him to
like a lot of high school runners that kind of had a coach.
Yeah, which brings me to my next point. He's starting an app that is basically like going to be a training plan for high school runners without coaches. Yeah. So if you want to dive into
not
that.
Just high school
runners.
Not just high runners in general.
Yeah.
But it would be beneficial to the high school runners without coaches, or really anybody who wants a coach once we get it running.
Yeah, exactly. So just talk about that a little bit, It's kind of interesting what you're trying to do,
Yeah, right on. So I was told long ago, several years ago, that I needed to take the program that I designed way back in the early 2000s for the team that was really terrible that I took over. They were 11th out of 12th in their region and 6th out of 7th in their conference. I developed this program, The next year, they won their conference, and they were second in their region, qualifying them for the state championships. So I knew there was something about the training part right away. Of course, there's a lot of dynamics to coaching in general. And so, I mean, I had other dynamical variables going on where we just kind of created more of the team family unity, which really allows runners to blossom even better. But that's another variable. What we're talking about is the training itself, though, and that's the part that I realized we had something special. Later, several years later, I was able to allow Alex to use that program and train. And as we went through, and then as we started going through recruiting, I would ask great athletes, professional athletes, college athletes, high school athletes, just basically anyone that was good. I was asking them their secrets, and I was taking notes literally and applying things that really worked to not just Alex, which they really worked well for Alex. 3 state championships, individual state cross country championships in 2 different states. Anyway, I'm not just pointing out why that they worked for one person, but the really great part of the program is that it's multiplicity. It works for every athlete that can run. If you can run 2 miles, you can start this program.
And I mean, I think that's a big thing because, you know, nowadays you see a lot of guys or a lot of coaches at least, that they'll, you know, hang on to that 1-star runner that they have that's extremely talented and try and coach the rest of their guys like that when, you know, they need individuality in their coaching. And,
for sure.
So, you know, you
but here's a great example of that. So you have 21 runners the next year after I got them to win their conference. So we're 2 years in now. Second year into this program, and 20 of those 21 runners break 20 minutes on my entire team. Like that just doesn't happen by chance. That's a training issue.
Wait, who was the one that didn't?
Great question. The only one that didn't happened to be the tuba player who wanted to lose weight and joined cross country, who ran 30 minutes and 24 seconds his first 5K. And he PR'd by the end of the year at 24 minutes and mid 24s. Yeah, and he lost like 25 pounds. Like,
hey,
it worked.
Sad to say, but
Danny
my
Diaz.
senior, my senior year, he would have been our 5th guy. So,
oh man.
Hey, on my team, he would have been number 2.
That's true because you only were
in Arkansas. He would have been number 2.
You were the
actually
only guy.
number 3 because
we did recruit one more later.
Second year we had another guy. But first year he would have been number 2.
Awesome stuff. So with that team, where exactly did you take those guys the next year? Like, did you guys win states, or like what was what happened the next year?
Yeah, so we just got better at the state championships. Michigan,
he's in. This is in
Michigan in general,
which
go ahead.
Definitely, every year it's producing national caliber athletes. I mean, you have people like Grant Fisher, Dathan Ritzenheim. Recently, you have the kid who just won, Brooks PR the year before, had the fastest mile in the nation from Ann Arbor.
Ann Arbor. And that's the
region
region
I was
in.
Foot Locker. A girl from Ann Arbor won Foot Locker last year. So, I mean, Michigan's producing national caliber athletes every year.
It was just before the Ritzenheim era.
Top 3, top 4 state in the nation over all around behind like Texas and California every year. Yeah. If not better. I mean, you're right there.
Good point.
Texas and California got
Michigan.
They're bigger,
so
obviously
is compared. I put Michigan in the top 3 or 4 for states recruiting, distance recruiting. You know, and in general. So put it in context. You know, that same team was kind of where Alex fell his senior year. It'd probably be a little better than Alex's team here in South Carolina. They placed 3rd, just shy of 2nd and 1st. And so my team probably would have been right there trying to win a state championship here in the state of South Carolina. Same kind of caliber, same kind of times. But, you know, put in context. Great question.
How long did you coach Alex for?
So I kind of let him process this whole, I love soccer, I'm a great soccer player, and go back to that. I coached him 11 years, 10 years were first place, and 9 years were undefeated, partly because I had Alex who could just take the ball and score at any given moment, and I'd just say, I need a goal. But I let him through that later process of his career where soccer wasn't really in his school. Soccer wasn't available. And so he had to make some decisions on what he wanted to do in the future. So he ended up trying track. And in his 8th grade year, well, I think we were doing about 20 to 25 miles a week and just kind of running around. You were training on a dirt track at a school
380 meters, baby.
Yeah, and at a school that was tiny. Yeah.
This sounds like
so,
MGX.
It wasn't even dirt. It was like one of those cliche roads, almost like rocky without the rocks,
man.
like the white road. You know.
Yeah.
You probably don't know. You're in Miami.
And he goes on to.
You just know sidewalks and paved roads.
Yeah.
And through all this, he goes on to break. He breaks 5 minutes in the mile as an 8th grader. So I knew there's something special there. I didn't break 5 minutes in the mile till I was a sophomore in high school, and so.
Hey, Ryan broke it. Ryan broke 5 his senior year, 4:59.
56.
So
4:56.
Yeah, you can relate.
His senior year, he's still only.
I got hurt my senior year,
faster.
So yeah.
So
really, but honestly, if I could have had something like this, what I know now, as far as the training process versus how I trained back then, and how a lot of people still don't know, and so they train a lot like old school training. I'll just go out and run 3 or 4 miles a day and try and get faster. And it just doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
And there's so many dynamics and variables that have to change and daily and progress slowly so you don't get hurt, and progress properly and based on, where you're at, and understanding that distance training is really about pacing. It's about proper pacing ultimately.
Yeah.
So
I think that's a huge aspect of training that you just brought up. Like, I think a lot of the time, as runners progress throughout their career, they kind of start to mature and learn more and more. Like, hey, maybe I shouldn't go all out today, and maybe today I gotta take easy because I have a workout tomorrow. And I know Ryan is dealing with that right now. Some of his athletes, they're young, and they just want to hammer every day, every easy run. And at the end of the day, it could lead to injuries. It could lead to overtraining, stuff like that. So I think you brought up a good point there. And one other thing I was going to say, do you think that having, as a parent, having Alex be a dual sport athlete as a kid, do you think that helped him out as set him up to be a great runner? Because, there's been studies done that where dual sport and multi-sport athletes have lesser likely chance of getting injured. Yeah. So do you think that helped him out in the long run, or?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
You kind of touched on 2 different areas there. So I will answer it on a truthful belief opinion level. And that would be, I think it made him a great runner mentally. Physically, I think it did a huge detriment to him.
Really?
As far as trying to learn how to train in one, one practice and then go to the other practice and figure out what to do or what not to do to try and keep him healthy enough to train for the next round.
For a reference, during cross season, my sophomore year was my last year playing soccer. So sophomore year for cross, we had spring soccer. And so for sophomore year for cross was in the fall. I was doing lows would be 45s, high would be 55s. I hit 60 one time in the summer.
That's miles per week.
Yeah, miles per week. That's 60 miles one time during the summer for my sophomore year. And I ended up winning state at the end of the season. Kind of came out of nowhere for that. And won state my sophomore year. Beat out some of the top guys in state. Pretty cool. Anyway, came back in track.
This is the big part.
And I'm dual sporting at this point. I'm playing soccer as well. So I'm doing some miles at soccer, not really. Our soccer team was kind of like, we want to be fit, but they didn't want to be fit. They wanted to run 3 laps around the soccer field and say it was a mile, but it was 3 laps
call
around
it,
the soccer field.
call it a
And
day, call it
they said,
hard
we run
work
3
day.
miles. No, you ran 3 laps around the soccer field. We did 800 meters.
Yeah.
Anyway, I do like practice, and we do conditioning like once every 2 weeks. But I would be like pretty tired from practice just because practice was 2 hours long.
Yeah.
There was a lot of running around still because it's soccer, but as far as like conditioning itself went, there wasn't much. Like every now and then we do like a nice workout that was like maybe half hour long, but I was only being able to run like 35 miles a week.
Yeah.
During track, and so I wasn't as fit in track, I'd say, as I could have been if I wasn't dual sporting. But I also think at that young of an age, dual sporting was really good mentally because I was able to play soccer and I love soccer. So it was really until I made that decision myself that I feel like if I were to only run track and my dad would have like forced me to only run track instead of being able to play soccer, I feel like I wouldn't have been bought in the track my junior year when I really was like, okay, I want this for me. I want to be good at running. I don't want other distractions. Even though I'm really good at soccer, I feel like I can have more of a future in running.
Yeah, and that's what it was about. He had to buy in, and as terrible as and patient as I had to be walking through that process, I just wanted to be the encouraging parent at the same time as over here, you got something special.
Yeah.
You really want to pursue it, I think.
And it's hard to
be all in.
I mean, it is hard, like as a parent, you don't really know when your son or daughter is going to get to that point where they're like, hey, like, Dad, I want to take this to the next level. Like let's start training for real now.
Right.
And I don't think you really notice that till you actually become an athlete and you're like, well, like, because there's a lot of guys, and I've seen it because I ran AAU when I was little. A lot of parents will kind of try and live through their sons or daughters and push them too hard when they're young. Sure. And then when they get to high school, they're out, like they're done. They're just washed up, So
right.
I mean that's a huge part in getting to Alex to be
and
the
it's not
successful
physically
runner he was.
They're done. It's mentally.
Mentally
they're just like, I don't want to.
Yes.
I don't want to do this no more.
Right.
This ain't fun.
Yeah.
Just kind of ruin it for themselves.
Yeah.
But distance running is intrinsically motivated for most people anyway. And so if you, like we said, if he didn't buy in, I can only get him so far.
Well, yeah,
as a coach, no matter what.
Yeah. And I mean, you can get away with that when, like I said, when your kid is only like 9 or 10 and you can push them because, I mean, all they know is their father and their mom. Because, so it is until they kind of get to high school to where they're like, hey, maybe I don't want to do this anymore. Hey, maybe I do want to do this, So
go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I mean, I went through the same thing with football my senior year. I mean, you can ask Ryan. They tried to get me to come out and run cross country since my freshman year of high school, and I kept telling them, maybe I might do it. And then it wasn't until senior year until I was like, hey, I'm gonna start running cross country again, or for the first time, So yeah.
And go back to when he made that decision. He looked at me and he said, I have 3 weeks left of the track season before the state championships. And I really think if I stop playing soccer, I can drop my time pretty good. And he had run a 4:39 mile up until that point that season. And
4:39 was already a big PR.
Yeah. And so
my freshman year I ran 4:49. 49.
Yeah.
So I'd already PR'd by 10 seconds.
So, but I thought if he got his legs back under him healthfully, and we could do 1 or 2 really good speed workouts with fresh legs, he would realize how fast he could go and how that would feel. And so that state championship, he literally went out with the guy that I knew was going to break 4:20 and did, and tried to hang on. He ends up a tough 5th, but ran a 4:31. Like 3 weeks later, you dropped.
It was that conference, right?
Yeah, you dropped 7 seconds. No, you at the state
8
meet, you ended up
seconds.
Oh yeah, no,
4th
that
or
was
5th. Yeah.
a state meet.
Yeah, so you dropped 8
4th,
seconds
I think.
in just 3 weeks
Yeah.
in a mile, you know, and you're
Yeah.
already running that fast. That was to me, that was a significant drop. I
But-
was like, that allows us to go on and maybe be recruited somewhere.
Yeah.
And do even D2 somewhere.
Especially as a sophomore.
I ran
mean,
4:31 though. I ran a 4:31 after conference week. The week before, I ran 4:28.
Mm.
Right.
I ran 4:31 because I tried to go out with the guy who ended up running 4:17,
Oh,
and I
okay.
wasn't in 4:17 shape. But I hung on. I hung on
Yeah.
for the 205 for the first 4, or 207 the first 800,
Yeah.
and then I was dead.
Yeah.
But again, mentally he was there. He had won.
Mentally, I was like, I'm either winning or I'm losing.
Yeah, and he had won in cross country that previous season. So he's racing the same guys at the state meet in the mile. And so he was like, I can beat these guys mentally.
Mhm.
But physically I knew it wasn't gonna happen.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have put that strategy for him, but why not? We're a sophomore. Let him do it.
Yeah.
You know, we can change things next year.
Yeah.
And we did, and fine tuned it, and you went on to run 4:20 the junior year without soccer, and it's a good example.
So real quick, what was a staple week of workouts? Like just give me like an example of like a week's training in high school, like junior or senior year or whatever.
Starting with like Sunday. Let's say we start the week on Sunday.
Yeah.
Sunday was usually a long run. Wake up before church, go long run. Usually 9 to 12 miles. Most of the time it was either 10 or 11.
Yeah.
We're talking in
10
the
was pretty
peak of his
consistent.
training, right?
Yeah. I hit 13 miles one time ever in high school. 13.1 because I had to do the extra 0.1. And I did it at like 7:23 pace. I was just like doing it just to do it.
Yeah.
And then
But most of the time I didn't let him go over 11.
Yeah.
I did
That was
12 a few
typical
times, few and far between.
Which, like I said, is big too, because a lot of guys will get excited and be like, well, let's just go the extra couple miles, you know, and then they'll get hurt like that. So
Yeah. Well, through high school, I only went over 60 miles a week 6 times all of my high school career.
Yeah.
And the highest I ever went was 64 twice. So
Monday's going to be a recovery day.
Yeah.
Medium distance, 7 miles, something like that.
And you run your easy runs in like around what pace?
Then like senior year, probably around 650 to 720s.
Yeah. So basically
right at 2 minutes over.
Yeah.
Pace.
So pretty chill for like what most high schoolers do on their easy runs.
Yeah. Pretty across the board.
Okay.
At this point, I tell them to buy into technology, so we get the heart rate monitor and we make sure that easy runs are not more than said heart rates.
Yeah.
And I for high schoolers that age, I like to go 155-ish or below or lower.
Yeah.
So if you're doing that, but easy way for pacing though, if you don't have heart rate monitors or anything like that, the easy way is 2 minutes over pace on a 5K.
For easy runs, Yeah. So and then Tuesday would be a workout. Either early in season, probably like a tempo threshold stuff. Mid-season, it'd be like longer threshold repeats, like Ks and stuff.
Well, I remember you were telling me about a workout you did where you ran like a 16:12 5K, and then 10 minutes later you ran a 16:48 on the track.
Oh, that was a race.
That was a meet.
Okay,
hey,
so
what do you do when you got a meet in the middle of the season, the middle of the week?
And during cross, I always so I like to, especially when I moved to South Carolina my senior year. Okay, so I moved from Arkansas to South Carolina my senior year, and coming in, nobody knows who I am. Nobody knows I won 2 state championships in Arkansas. So.
And nobody cares until you beat them.
Yeah, exactly.
So I didn't beat anybody on purpose. I would
Actually, that's really.
Yeah.
So early in the season,
Yeah.
I wasn't in great shape. I ran like 17:23 on the state course. Actually, what state was going to be held at. So I got to see state, but I ate a Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich like an hour before, and I cramped up. And I drank one water bottle the whole morning.
Pretty sure it wasn't the Chick-fil-A sandwich. I think it was the dehydration.
Yeah, I wasn't
Yeah.
dehydrated either.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. It just didn't make for a good run.
Yeah.
And so
and
I also wasn't in great shape. I was like maybe in like 1640s shape at that point.
Yeah.
Because then like 2 weeks later, I ended up running 1641 in Atlanta, and that was like
at 96% humidity or something ridiculous and hot.
Yeah.
So like Florida every day.
Yes.
Yeah. Normal winter day in Florida.
And you're from Florida. You understand that Florida is not. Yeah, it's not normal temperatures.
I went and trained there.
Like
oh yeah. Ask Alex how that training went.
It was great.
Whole different volume.
I hated it.
Gained 8 pounds while he was.
Well, I gained 8 pounds because your dad fed me like I was a NFL linebacker. And also, we were only running like we were like 2 times at your house.
Yeah,
just
I know.
We couldn't even leave the house because the air condition. If we left the air conditioning for 5 minutes, we'd have a heat stroke.
Yeah.
So going back to the training part, in a typical week, he looks at me and he says, "Dad, I've got a tempo run today." And I said, "That's fine." And he says, "But I'm supposed to race today." I said, "Okay, what do I do?" You do what you have to do to win the race. He runs 16:14 and he wins the race.
This is at regional. So now this is pretty late in the season. I'm actually pretty fit now.
And then he's like, "I still got 3 more miles." And I was like, "All right, based on that pace, we're going to average this pace. And so the next 3 miles has to be at this."
I really didn't have a set pace for the second run.
Yeah.
The first run was do what you have to do to win. That's it.
But the second one wasn't going to be a jog. It was
16:14. I think the next guy was like 16:20. So I only won by like 6 or so seconds. I was in sub 16 shape at that point.
Yeah.
But I only did what I had to do.
But we didn't want to show that.
Yeah.
Of course.
Especially that late in the season, going in. If I already was already that far of like nobody knows who I am, might as well keep it that way. So I just did what I had to do to win my region. My region wasn't super strong. We had my teammate who was pretty good, and then we had another kid who was a top guy in the state. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't very dense. There wasn't a lot of people. There was 3 of us. That was it.
That was really talented.
Yeah. That the 3 of us. My teammate, he was in good shape, didn't run great, and the other kid was in good shape. He ran pretty well.
But you turn around and after you run that race,
so 10 to 15
you grab your teammate.
Yeah, I look at my teammate.
And you say, "Let's go. We got to go run."
I said, "We got a tempo run." He said, "What?" And I said, "We got to go do our workout. We got to do the workout now." He's like, "We just raced."
So you don't do it in front of the other runners and the other coaches that can see, right? They sneak off to the other track.
Yeah, they have like another track.
Way over across campus.
Yeah.
And do this other workout.
And so we hop on their track and we do we drop a we ran 4 seconds slower than what my teammate ran in his 5K. We just did another 5K, 4 seconds slower than what he did in his 5K. So I ran like 16:12, 16:14 in the race. I don't remember. And then we ran a 16:48 in the 5K. No, 16:52 in the 5K afterwards. Yeah. And he ran a 16:48 that day on the 5K on the cross country course. And he ran a 16:52 with me right after. So you knew he was. I knew he was at that point. I knew he was in better shape than 16:48.
So the program doesn't really want you to deviate.
Nobody knew I ran a 16:48 after the race. Nobody in the state knows that. Oh, this kid ran a 16 or 52 after his 16:12.
Right.
Nobody knew that.
So you don't deviate a whole lot from the training is kind of where we're going with that. Yeah. So that next week he has the next round of qualifying, which is kind of the final.
Oh, so in state
match,
I guess in state region would be like districts for us because we have districts, region, states.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's like 3 tiers.
So now the next stage after region is upstate and low state, or I don't know what they call it. We have upstate. They have
upper state and lower state.
Yeah, upper state and lower state. So it's just kind of divided by who's on the top.
So the coach says, "I don't want you to show your cards again." So he tells the front runners, him and his teammate that are decent, "I want you to go out and I want you to lead the first mile."
He just says, "I want you to run like race pace the first mile,
Yeah.
and I want you to run race pace the last mile.
Right.
I want you to run recover in the middle.
Like a tempo or slower.
Yeah, so we're really
Right
doing
in
2
there
mile,
in the middle.
a
of the
1
mile.
by a 2 by 1 mile repeat with a 6-minute recovery in between.
Yeah.
And so I run a 5 flat,
What were you
and
gonna
a
say,
6
Ryan?
flat, and then a 5 flat.
Right. And the people, I'm sitting back knowing what's going on, and they're talking about this kid who was winning at the mile, but look how far back he's dropped. And all of
After
a
the
sudden
mile.
they're talking at the last mile like,
Because nobody knows this.
this kid's
Yeah.
flying this last mile. He's really coming back on them. I don't think he's going to catch him. So I'm just watching it unfold, and nobody outside of that meet really understands the training part, but all they see is the time.
Of course, yeah.
So we knew something was special was going to happen the next week.
But then afterwards, after the race, I still had my 2 miles. I had to go do.
That is true.
So,
And you did that barefoot on the football field, I think.
No, I did it on the grass.
Yeah, on the grass.
Because the other kid who actually won that race, who was pretty legit, actually next year went on to be really fantastic and much faster than I was in my senior year.
Oh, Cohen?
But
Yeah.
He I saw him doing his tempo run afterwards too. He had the same idea.
That's funny. But I mean that's how it should be though, because you don't want to peak early in the season, mid-season, or even at region, because
because of that, he thought I went out with him, died at the mile, and so he thought going into the next week, it's just me and this other kid from Lower State who was really fast, and he's just like, it's just us two, it's me versus him. So going into state, these guys think it's just us, me versus.
He's with us, but he's going to drop.
Cohen versus Sam.
Yeah.
Well, hold on, real quick. I think that's so funny, right, Ryan? Because like, I feel like, what's his name? Coach Josh from Fort Lauderdale. He kind of tried to do that at districts, and it didn't really work out too well. I remember my senior year, but I mean, it worked out obviously, but it didn't work. I feel like it didn't work out how he wanted it to. But I just don't think that you see too many like tactics like that, like in mind games being played in the high school.
I feel like that's what I've
all.
always been good at, is really just understanding, because I think how I think. I'm like, those guys are thinking the same thing as me. What would I think? And I think I'm doing all kinds of research on all these guys. I before going in the state meet, I know every single race these guys have ran, every PR. I've looked up every course difficulty. I've talked to all the runners in state, seeing how hard was that course? Was that a legit time? Like, are these guys actually that fit? Are they not that fit?
Mm-hmm.
So I knew everything I could about all the other runners. I'd stalk them on Strava. I mean everything I could. Just knowing everything about them, really. And I would really just try to analyze what they would do in the race and how I could beat them in the race.
Yeah.
So going back to the training though, you're sticking to the training. You're having the long run, you're having the recovery, you're having this tempo or some form of aerobic threshold workout, and then some form of speed workout. And whether they're racing on Saturday or taking the day off, depends on kind of what you do, how hard you do your next run on that long run.
Yeah.
So,
go ahead, Ryan. What did you want to say?
I just want to go back to a second. So the races that you lost, did you get second place, or like what place did you end up getting?
Yeah, great question.
Okay, so senior year, I got first race, I think like 23rd. It was awful. That was the chicken sandwich race.
Yeah.
And then second race was in Atlanta.
Yep.
And I ran the JV race, and I got second.
Gosh.
Well, there's the gold, and then there's the blue or something like that. And he ended
our
up.
Team, we entered as a team, and my team was like, okay. I think we missed the varsity race by like 2-3 spots.
Yeah.
But
you ended up second on that race.
Yeah, we got second. I got second as a team and second individually in that race. And
that was his first trophy that him as a runner ever obtained from a team. Like he got individual accolades up until that point.
380-meter track freshman year, I was the only distance runner on my. We didn't have cross country. We had track. That's it.
Oh,
I played football freshman year in the fall. Fun fact.
Dang, McLovin playing football.
Then
I
he
would
was-
have seen that coming.
then he
I
went-
was I was
Only guy in Arkansas.
I was the kicker because I played soccer.
That's
so.
true.
And then
I actually didn't
coming
know
up.
that. That's funny.
next year moved to Arkansas. From
Only
New
guy on
Mexico
the
to
team.
Arkansas. Only guy on the team.
Wait,
For
the team
cross.
was the
Me.
junior high basketball team
Oh yeah, junior high basketball team.
to
junior high
have a
basketball-
cross country team.
Junior
That's
high
true.
basketball coach was the coach.
So he'd take his kids to meets just to have a team and get paid that stipend.
Yeah.
Wow, it sounds like
And-
sounds like
And
McFarland.
he had practice Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'd show up to practice. I already knew it was bull crap. And he'd say, all right,
'Cause he had to coach him.
200 jump ropes, and we're going to do line drills. And I was like, what? And then he said, and then we're going to do a mile all out. So at the end of practice, I do a mile all out, and I do like a 6:40 mile. And he'd be like, whoa, that was good. And he's like, wow. Knowing that like I could run like a 4:30 mile. He didn't know I could do that, but I was just like,
Yeah.
I'd run a 6:40, and he'd be like, all right, this week we're going to try and run faster than we did last week. And I'd run like a 6:35, and he'd be like, whoa.
Whoa.
And as soon as he'd leave, I'd go run 6 more miles.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah. Okay,
But
so
you're talking about the coaching side. You know,
Yeah.
the coach doesn't know what they don't know.
Yeah, so
and
finally
there
we
you
went to
go.
we went to the AD, and my dad was like, listen,
Can I please just
can like
take the reins?
we don't need this guy. You can have him just keep coaching.
You can have my
basketball.
paycheck.
He said he can keep the paycheck. I don't care. Just let
It's
me
true. It's
let
true.
me. He's like, it's just Alex. That's it. Let me just take the reins. Let me.
Yeah.
He said, I'll take him to the meets. I'll do everything. You just pay for the entry. And so he's like, all right.
That's
I
what
mean,
happened.
sounds fair to me.
Ryan, what were you gonna say?
No, so the races that you purposely lost, that was at the regional meet and stuff, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah,
He did.
I didn't lose the
I don't
regional
think
meet.
he purposely lost
I didn't lose the regional meet.
anything
I
other
at
than the
regionals,
regional strategy.
I raced to win because I knew I was fit enough to win. Not like it wasn't like easy. It was still a tough run. So
Yeah.
the kid was actually pretty good.
Mhm.
But it wasn't all out. It was like I'd say 80 to 85%. As though it was faster than tempo run, easier than a race.
Because to give like perspective, like your dad and Garrett's dad so different. Garrett's dad at the district meet in a mile, he jogged the mile
Yeah.
at a 4:40, and
I've
his
heard some
dad
stories.
was
Yeah.
like screaming, cursing, like why were you killing it? And then like your dad obviously really understands distance.
Okay,
running.
so
Yeah.
let me just.
I think there's
explain
just a difference in understanding of the sport.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, let me
Exactly.
explain that real quick. So my dad has no knowledge of any sport whatsoever. So
Any sport?
Pretty
like
much.
like basically any sport.
He's
especially
got
running.
some knowledge, but
Okay,
yeah,
he's
right.
got okay.
Yeah.
He won't be in this
but-
podcast.
He knows football.
He understands the concept of scoring a touchdown or
Yeah,
hitting a
yeah.
home run
Oh,
or
of
whatever.
course, of course,
And
of
winning
course.
a race.
And
That's
getting
all
the
he
winning a
knows.
race, literally,
Winning a race. That's
winning-
all he knows.
Exactly. That's it, right? So he didn't want me to run the mile my junior year at all. Because
It's like,
sophomore year,
when
every
Garrett
time
played football, he
Let-
said,
let me
Garrett, why
talk.
didn't you score a
Let me talk.
touchdown? He says, Dad, I was on defense.
So anyways,
Keep going, Garrett.
yeah,
Go.
so junior year he didn't want me to run the mile at all because I had been doing good in the 800 my sophomore year, and every time I ran the mile I ran bad. And so my coach, he's a very
Yes.
passive guy. He's a very passive guy. He's a really nice guy. Tries to avoid competition as much as possible. And like before the race, he's like, hey Garrett, like if you want to get a chance to get a full scholarship, you got to have a mile time down. Because I had an 800 time down. I had a 154 down. But he was like, you got to get the mile down. I think you can run really well at the state meet. So I was like, oh, like I really don't want to do it. Like I did not want to run it at all. So he's like, dude, you can jog it in your trainers and just run to qualify. I was like, all right, whatever. So I just like completely like I was like in 15th place in like the first lap. And I just jogged in like my pegs of 446 and came third. And after the race, my dad was pissed. And he was like, it was so funny because Coach Eddie, Ryan knows Coach, that was my coach at the time. he was like ducking and dodging, like trying to hide from my dad the whole time.
I know what he's gonna think.
Because
Right.
he was so mad. But like he said, it worked out in the end of the day because I had that 424, and if I wouldn't have had that, I wouldn't have gotten recruited by CSU or any school for that matter. So,
Yeah,
24.
great point.
yeah. Well, I ran
And let's
that
be
I ran the
honest,
state meet.
in recruiting, it comes down to just a fast time.
Just FYI, Garrett wasn't a 424 miler in high school. He's a 416 miler.
No, that was junior year. I'm talking about junior year.
Okay.
Where
I just had to clarify.
Where the real
That way-
recruiting starts
that way
and
people-
when it comes.
It's junior year, exactly. And I'm glad my coach understood the importance of that, because if I didn't, like I said, I would have had like a 432 or something, and a 424 looks a lot better than a 424. 424 looks a lot better than 432. So, yeah. But so just talk about how the state meet went for you.
Before we get into state meet, I want to go all the way back to your question about the soccer part. The soccer part in combination, I said it's two parts there. I didn't get to the second part.
Okay.
Mental, physical benefits to him. But the second part, I think, was that he was also weight training. And I think the combination of the weight training, which he did the next year without soccer, definitely kept him healthy. Like, it kept him strong. It kept him healthy.
Yeah.
We weren't having injuries. We were training well. And it made more successful training days.
No, I wasn't training like a football player. I wasn't putting on muscle. I was doing
Right.
I was in the
lot of core.
I was in the weight room I had a class period that had it, and I was in there for 45 minutes a day, and half of that was messing around. So I mean, I was still doing stuff. I was still I was getting I was definitely getting a lot stronger. I was probably stronger than that I am now.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
I mean, it just like
it was I was still getting a lot stronger. I had a really strong core too. Like, we did lots of core. I took core seriously, and I took some of the upper body stuff a little seriously, but I never even touched any leg stuff. Almost. It was mostly just upper body and core that I did. A little bit of leg strengthening, but not any I never did squats really. I did lunges and stuff and step ups with weighted stuff, but nothing really
low weight explosives.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. And
pretty lightweight stuff. I mean,
like I said,
there's not heavy weight that I can pick up anyway.
Well, the importance of those sports that you play when you're younger is that they just kind of build your body for when you commit to running full time, so that you don't have those injuries that guys that only have been running their entire lives have, So
for sure. Ryan, I mean, what kind of experience do you have with your runners? Like, do they cross train at all? Do they do any other stuff besides just running?
One of my guys is a swimmer, so he swims once a week sometimes. Biking's big. Even Garrett does it.
Garrett tries.
That's really it. It's especially now it's tough with COVID because we can't you can't go to the pool or the weight room. Yeah,
it's a little different over here in South Carolina.
Yeah, that's the one thing I've honestly realized so far from this podcast is things are different from Florida.
A lot different. Dude, I went into Walmart and nobody was wearing masks.
We just got back from Walmart.
Ryan, where are you at?
South Florida. I'm Pembroke Pines. Where Garrett?
Miami. Just Miami.
Miami.
Let's just
Miami.
Just say that.
So go ahead.
No, I mean, because I wanted to ask you a question, but we didn't even finish answering the what you do in the week. I know you said the tempo stuff, but I guess the second workout, if you just want to go into that real quick.
Okay, week. Long run, easy run. Workout, that's more like threshold stuff.
We'd call that speed work.
Yeah.
But with active dynamic recoveries.
Oh, the second workout, yeah. First workout usually aerobic or threshold stuff. Usually tempo run, long repeats with short rest. Then easy run, and then usually a faster, something faster, get the legs moving.
So you'd say something faster is in 5x1K with longer rest, in between?
No, 5x1K with short rest would be something that we do early in the week, and then something later in the week would be like 12x400 with like 2 minutes rest.
Okay.
At like
with a jog.
Then like 68, something like that, 67s.
Which is pretty good, honestly.
Which was fast. Which was fast for me then.
Yeah.
And then Saturday would be another rest day. Honestly, every day that wasn't a workout in high school was a easy day. Yeah. Which is a lot different than I do now. Yeah. In college. Yeah. But
training philosophies have kind of switched up, you know.
Yeah. I've developed as a runner a lot.
Yeah.
And also running for different coaches and stuff. I
mean, the older, and I mean, our coach is like, he's great. Like, he's one of the best coaches you can get. So
yeah, shout out Coach Stincy.
Big shout out, Coach Jim Bean Stincy.
If you don't know him, look him up. Don't look him up on Let's Run though.
Yeah, don't look him up on Let's Run.
So let me just add to that Coach Stincy thing, though. You guys are running for a coach that's coached over 70 All-American D1 runners.
And a lot of people don't know that.
Right. How does this guy end up at Charleston Southern? And that's why Alex is at Charleston Southern, let's be honest, is because of Coach.
That's why I'm here too.
Southern.
Right. So, like, if people understand that the coach is more important than most other variables.
Yeah.
I think the most important thing is, do they have your major and what do you want to do the rest of your life? Because you're probably not going to be a runner.
Depends on who you are.
Yeah.
For me, it was the coach.
Secondly, it's going to,
and then if they had my major.
Secondly, it's going to be running. So you guys are blessed with a coach that has the knowledge, and I at Eastern Michigan, I was blessed with, really one of the best, greatest coaches ever in college.
And who was he?
Bob Parks. Yeah, at Eastern Michigan for years. And so they have a tradition. They've had 64 straight Olympics where they've had a guy come out of Eastern Michigan. So the tradition there has been so much. I ran with 9 different Olympians when I was there over a 5-year span. My sweet mate won the Olympic trials. But it wasn't about me. It was about me learning. Why am I a great coach? Because I studied this stuff when I'm watching great coaches, great athletes. Yeah. And that's how I've put together that program, Garrett, was based on all that information and all the great stuff. I'm putting it together and piecing it together and making it work and showing that it's a proven program, because not only did I do it back in 2000 with, those teams, but then I took an individual that I got to coach, my own son, and it made it even better, made him even faster, I've had, I think, 4 or 5 guys break 16 with this program.
Yeah.
It's
and
crazy great program.
Yeah. And I mean, now with the technology, you can make this into an app and actually make this, a thing,
So we're like, how many miles are you running? How fast your current speed is? It takes all that. It calculates the process and how old you are, what sex you are. It puts it in to the program and says, okay, this day, this far, this much, this fast.
How many sexes are there to choose from?
Yeah, there's only 2.
Whoa.
I mean, well, no.
Whoa, I'm kidding.
Okay. Nowadays, you can identify with who you are.
It's cool for the South Carolina folks, but like you get down in Miami and they're like, 2? What?
2? There's like 64. What do you mean?
There's unlimited.
That's not the point of this.
Where's Beaver on here? I don't know.
Yeah, different podcast.
Different talk show, different day.
Quick question, since you mentioned Coach Stincy, for both of you guys, Alex and Coach, what was as you coaching Alex throughout his whole high school career, what were you looking for his next coach to be like? Like, what made it's definitely Coach Stincy, besides just his stats and stuff?
So if you're gonna leave me as dad/coach, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a coach that's gonna understand that there's a lot more behind the scenes than running. Like, his ball movement issues through many workouts was an issue, and we had to bring that up in recruiting. But coaches have to understand that this is going to be an issue for you, and he's got to have to work through that. And if coach just gets frustrated the first year
during every workout,
or at least, twice or 3 times a week during workouts. That's real stuff right there, Ryan.
Yeah.
And what I'm looking for is someone that says, look, you had to drop a class. If you drop this class, you're not eligible to run. Let me step in and help you walk through it and figure out how we can do this together. And when we sat across Coach Stincy, and he says, Alex, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? And Alex says, I want your job. Coach Stincy says, I love that idea. What other coaches is going to buy into that,
Coach
right?
Say, great, I'm out of here.
And he did say that to other coaches. I want to do what you're doing.
And that's how I became the coach of Charleston Southern.
But honestly,
Garrett, go for a run right now.
Coach Stincy allowed him to follow his ideals and dreams. And, you're asking what I was looking for him. I was looking for another father figure, but also knew what they were doing and talking about for training purposes. That was really important. You had a lot of college coaches that think they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And when you just ask some certain vital questions, and look at
their first answer is, I do. Yeah, we know about Jack Daniels. We do a lot of Jack Daniels stuff. We do threshold tempos.
Aerobic threshold. I know all about that.
Yeah.
It's hard and run fast.
But all good coaches can walk through that answer, Ryan, very, very methodically, because they do have a method to their madness. But some coaches didn't understand some other angles and variables to athletes coming in. And I could hear that on the recruiting phases.
So I'll say, would you kind of test him? Does he would you? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And we went to a recruit where one of the coaches wouldn't let me be part of it.
Oof.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Alex texts me 2 hours later and says, I'm ready to go home.
Yeah. So if you guys didn't know,
don't say the school, Garrett.
No. I'm not.
Because Garrett, you say some crazy stuff.
No, but I'm just saying, Alex would go on every recruiting visit with his dad. So just to
that's awesome.
Most coaches knew that, but one didn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
And let's just say when my dad showed up and he was like, "What are you doing here?"
I thought I just let my 7. You were 17.
The school was 6 hours away. I thought I just didn't expect my dad to come.
I thought I'd just let my 17-year-old son drive 6 or 5.5 hours away to just hang out with people I've never met before and see if he likes you.
Yeah.
So, Alex, does that mean you're kind of letting your dad kind of do more the questioning? You're just kind of just waiting for the answers?
I think it's an equal mix. But yeah, he asked a lot. He probably asked more questions than I did, which kind of helped because he was better at asking those questions.
Mm-hmm.
But being a college athlete, Ryan, it helped me know what I think high school kids might want to look for, and the whole recruiting part there. I wasn't recruited. I recruited myself to Eastern Michigan, but I was recruited to a D3 school.
I mean, back then though,
take anybody.
What were the ways to get recruited? Because I mean, there wasn't the internet wasn't a mainstream kind of thing,
They sent telegraphs.
Basically, a coach would see times and go through and be like, okay, this kid's pretty consistent. He's run this fast. It wasn't. They had to do research because it wasn't going to come up on Mile Split.
Yeah, there wasn't a database back then. So
yeah, but they had access to the results of the state meet or the results of this particular meet would be out there online.
Yeah.
Even bigger invitationals were still out there.
Yeah.
And so, but if you weren't being recruited, which most mid-average athletes weren't, you'd have to recruit yourself. You'd have to call coaches and do some work. Yeah. So good questions.
Yeah. So flipping, I know we're flipping all the way back and forth,
Mm-hmm.
but just to finish up Alex's senior year, so he goes on to state, and you can explain the rest.
All right. So after Upper State, where I did the five
Just try and keep it short and sweet. Not like
6 flat.
What's your strategy at the state?
Okay, so then going into the next week, so nobody knows who I am. Nobody thinks I can win the state meet. Not even my own teammates think I can win the state meet. I actually made a bet with one of my teammates, and if I won the state meet, he shaved his legs. And so nobody even thinks I can win the state meet. Not even like some of my own teammates, because some of my own teammates weren't even aware of what I was doing outside of practice.
Yeah,
truth.
Because like on the weekends when we didn't have practice, I was doing my tempo runs.
And we somewhat had to hide it from coach.
Yeah,
too.
like a lot of my stuff. Like coach thought I was running 40 miles a week at practice, but I was really doing an extra 20 outside, outside of practice throughout the week.
Yeah, trust me, I know a lot about hiding things from coaches.
I think a lot of the good high school runners. I wouldn't say that, because a lot of good high school runners do have really good coaches. But anyway, my coach was actually
surprised
in high school.
50.
Yeah, give or take. But my high school coach was actually pretty good. My senior year coach, whenever I moved to South Carolina, I actually had a real team. So it was kind of like 50-50 between him and the other coach. But he did have we did have a lot of good runs. I just don't think there was a lot of
they weren't long enough.
Quantity. The quality was there, the quantity wasn't.
Yeah. So in the state meet, where are we at?
So get the state meet anyway.
You have the 2 studs.
Yeah, you got the 2 guys who are studs, and then you got about 2 or 3 outside shots. And
Alex being one of those guys.
I was ranked number 5. I don't even think I was the only one considering myself an outside shot. Nobody else was considering me even an outside shot.
Yeah.
As far as I know. So going into the state meet, we go through a mile at lead guys go through 4:51. I come through about a second behind, 4:52.
Just kind of hanging on their shoulders.
Yeah. And then there's another guy behind about 4:54 or so. And I'm just like hanging off right on. And that was my plan. My plan was to hang right off their shoulder because I knew they were going to stay together.
What's your plan? I think it's important to know his plan before how it unfolded.
Yeah. Right after the 2-mile mark, right before the 2-mile mark, there's a hill.
There's
big hill.
A giant hill.
Go up the hill with them.
Giant hill.
Relax up the hill. Try and hang with them. After the hill, then make my move. Okay, so
that's the plan.
And try and go from there. Anyway, we get to the hill, and I'm still there. It's almost 2 miles in there, just shy of 2 miles, about 1.9. We're at the hill, and I see an opportunity to kind of like take a shorter turn than they did. So the hill kind of goes like this, and then it goes like this, and you're on the hill, but the path is like this. So they decide to stay along the left edge.
Yes. So
and take the long way.
Okay.
And I go straight through.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes like this, and I'm going from this side, and now I'm on the right side of the course. And they're still on the left side. They kind of take with it. And they didn't want to go across that because there's sand. There's a sandbar right in between.
Right.
And I ran straight through the sandbar.
Huge sandy hill.
It's about 3 strides through the sandbar to get to, take that shorter path. And I knew, I ran the course before, and right before the race, and I thought, I think that they're not going to want to run through this. So once we get to the sandbar, I do it, and all of a sudden I go from 4 meters behind them to now I'm 4 meters in front of them. So I'm like, I'm 4 meters in front of them. I don't need to make my move till the top of the hill. I'll just wait. I'll just relax up the hill, and it just saves me some time. So I just start almost I felt like I slowed down going up the hill. I was jogging. And so I'm just I don't know if I was just feeling good, but they weren't coming back on me.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, what? And so I just kept going. I was like, I guess they're just chilling with me. And so we get to the top of the hill, and all of a sudden I now gapped them by a couple more meters. I went from 4 meters to 7 to 10 meters now on them. And I make the turn, and I see my dad. And my dad's like, good work. He thought I made my move.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I guess now it's time to make my move. And I guess I get to make it with a 10-meter lead already. So then I just start taking off. And my dad's he's yelling at me. He's like, shorter stride, blah, blah, all these, all the stuff,
The technical parts of it.
Not gonna lie, Ryan, that kind of, doesn't it low-key kind of sound like what Fiore did at regionals to the St. Thomas guys? Remember, I told you earlier in the podcast that at districts, Coach Josh had Michael, jog the district mile or the district 5K, and then at regionals, he just destroyed everybody.
Yeah. I want to hear your story.
No, yeah, my bad.
Anyway, so all of a sudden I'm 10 meters ahead with 1.1 to go.
Right, coming into the 2 mile.
And I don't really know how far I'm ahead. I think they're right on my shoulder now because I thought, oh, they're not going to let me go. But they did let me go. And I found out, well, anyway, I go on and I'm running scared because I'm like,
run scared. That's what I said. I said run scared.
I never turned around, so I never knew how close they were.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But I was running, I was just like, okay, this last mile needs to be out of my mind because I know these guys are like good. They're legit.
Yeah.
And they've ran well faster paces in races than what I'm even running right now.
Yeah.
So they could easily come on me right now. So I'm just like running out of my mind. And
at this point, at the 2 mile, he's got a 7 to 8 second lead, solid.
Yeah.
Which is a huge lead at the state finals.
Yeah. Not by the 2 mile, but I had like a 3 to 4 second lead at the 2 mile mark, which was right after the hill.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's pretty flat from there on.
So you go through 2 mile at what, like 9:50s?
10:03.
Our first one was 4:52, and our second mile was like a 5:15.
Oh, so
sandy,
so
hilly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like going up the hill, I felt like I was jogging.
Yeah. So you guys weren't really pushing it too hard then.
Not the second mile, no.
Oh yeah.
I don't know the exact pace of the second mile.
Yeah.
I just only remember the first mile because I saw it as I was running by.
Yeah.
Anyway, I know my last mile was like a 4:45. 4:45 to 4:50.
Dang.
It was under 4:50.
Yeah.
And it was the fastest mile of my race. And anyway, that's just because I was running scared.
Yeah.
And I with like
at what
100
point
meters.
At what point do you realize you're gonna win?
Well, I felt like I was gonna win. Well, usually you're telling me what's going on in the race.
That's true.
So about 300 meters out, he's telling me, he's like, "You got this. Now you're just shooting for time." Anyway, then I'm coming over there's like this last little like downhill going into the race, and then I'm just like hauling butt because I don't really know how much I got this, and also I knew I can get a good time here. So then I crossed the line, and I'm just like, yeah, and because I knew I PR'd by a lot. I ran. The clock said 15:20.
Yeah, it did.
The official time said 15:30.
They added 10 seconds to everybody's time in the race.
Everybody was like, everybody thought they ran 10 seconds faster than because the clock said was 10 seconds. I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know what went on.
Yeah.
There. But anyway, 15:30, and huge PR, especially season PR, because my season PR before that was the 16:12 I ran at Region. And my PR the year before was a 15:55 as a junior.
Yeah, so you just went crazy.
So 2 things happened right there that I think Ryan will be interested in. One, we peaked well again. So on this program, there is a peak date that you're picking, and that's the part we're trying to work out that actually works properly to where it reduces the right percentage for peaking said weeks out coming into the date you want to peak at. And the first year you peaked by 39 seconds. The next year you peaked by like another 25 seconds. But then this year, the senior year, he peaks by
42.
Yeah. Like you don't just drop these times without doing the right things and peaking the right way.
And you did that in what way? Like did you severely drop off mileage towards the end of the?
Okay, I ran a 42-second season PR my senior year because I never showed my cards.
Or had the chance to show your cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never.
I think he had a chance to show his cards, Ryan. If he had run, that's going back to it, Ryan.
Like really, the only honest hard race I ran that whole season was the one in Atlanta where I ran 16:41.
Yeah.
And that was like a hard race.
Yeah.
I just wasn't very fit.
You ran another one though that you ended up placing 5th. You got your special bag that you were looking for.
At Wendy's. Yeah, I ran pretty hard
at the Wendy's one.
It was the one we had it at McAlpine where they have the Foot Locker, Foot Locker South Course. I did run pretty hard there.
But let's say he did really well and wins that race.
16, 14.
He's not holding back, Ryan. So that's kind of where we were at that point in the season with his training. So going back to this, the significant thing that after he won the race was 10 minutes later, we both looked over, and who's standing at the finish line? Coach Stincy.
Mm-hmm.
Not other coaches. And I didn't know he was there. And I said, where have you been? He goes, I don't show any of my athletes that I'm recruiting that I'm here until after the races.
Mm.
And we were going on a college visit that afternoon to his place.
Yeah.
And he just did one of these like, that was awesome.
Which I think helped with,
yeah.
I think helped with my recruiting that
I
it
agree.
was the day that I won the state meet.
Yeah.
I was kind of like, he was on a mental high of like, hey, this kid just won the state meet too, which kind of helped with a little bit.
And he saw the way you did it against who you did it.
Yeah, yeah. And against the guys who I did it.
Absolutely.
Who I beat, who were legit guys. Yeah.
So,
I mean, the one kid that I beat ran 406 that track season, and then another kid his senior year was second at Foot Locker South, went to Foot Locker Nationals, and his track season obviously was cut short because of the coronavirus and stuff. But on a he did a time trial where he ran 408.
So these weren't scrubs we're beating, right? Yeah. These were legit guys. Yeah. Go ahead, Ryan.
Just one. I literally was reading this the other day. They're saying you could only have like 1 to 3 like all-out effort races.
Yeah.
And I feel like you just perfected that so well, where you use it to your advantage, where you didn't want your runners to know, your competition to know, and then on top of that,
yes,
you got arguably you had the biggest PR in your senior. Like that's just like genius on like a whole nother, like that's just crazy to me. That's just Garrett. I mean,
yeah, I feel like that was also a big reason why I ended up winning the state meet, was because that last mile when I passed them, they were like,
who's this guy?
Who's this guy? And then like the one kid from the upstate was like, this is the same kid I just whooped last week at the upper state qualifiers.
And he died after a mile.
After a mile. There's no way he's hanging on.
Exactly.
And then the other guy was like, he was from Low Country, and I didn't race him up. He didn't even know who I was. And he was just like, he probably looked at the other guy and was like, who's this kid? And they're like, I don't know. He'll come back to us. And then I never came back to them. I actually ended up winning state by 13 seconds.
That's true.
Because they just let me go. Because they were like, he'll come back. He's going to die.
So was that the best you felt in the race, your last race?
Oh, yeah. I felt like I was running that race, I just felt like I had wings on.
It's just
I felt like I was running on clouds.
And it's crazy because like Garrett had the opposite issue where at the state meet, he actually did horrible. Well, not horrible. I don't want to put him on the spot, but he didn't do good because I feel like we mismanaged peaking and stuff. And it's just like, how do you know as a coach, like, obviously your program and stuff, but like, you're obviously taking a risk. You're like, oh, we're going to wait for the last race to have his best race. Like, do you ever kind of quit? You know what I mean? Like, it's so tough for that last race to be the best race. You know what I mean? Like, how do you know?
Absolutely.
Like,
yeah. I actually wasn't even trying to make that my best race of the season. I was actually trying to peak for NXR.
NXR. Yeah.
Trying to make the Nike Cross Nationals.
Yeah.
And that was a month after state. I was definitely peaking for state as well. I was trying to like double peak, but I was like the main peak where I was trying to peak at was for NXR. Which I think actually helped with peaking at state because I did a lot faster taper, more aggressive, but still like having more depth going into the state meet. Like I still ran like 55 miles the week before the state meet week, which I think was more beneficial in like still having that mileage and then dropping down to like 40 going into state. And that way I would still have enough fitness to come back up to 50 to 55 for the next month going into NXR. And then slowly dropping like 3 weeks going into NXR. But anyway, I was trying to qualify for NXR. So I extended my season a couple weeks after the state meet.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up getting sick the week before the qualifiers.
That's true.
As I always do
before
in the
NXR.
Before the fall, in the fall and spring is always. I have really bad allergies, so I got a sinus infection, and it was just a really bad week of training. And I didn't feel good, and the conditions that day were awful for running. So it was like
awful for everybody.
Like 45 degrees, and it was pouring, absolutely pouring rain.
Terrible for the spectators.
I was already
and coaches.
sick, and now I'm running in the pouring rain. So I'm already got chills, and then I'm in this pouring rain, and I'm just so cold.
Yeah.
And it just didn't make for a good day.
So
but I feel like I was even as fit, the most fit I ever was in going into state meet, going into NXR before that week. I was a good 15 seconds faster. I feel like
I think you peaked the week before. Yeah.
Yeah, the week.
I think
before,
he probably runs 15,
if we would have had it one more week, I think I would have had an outside shot of going to NXN.
I think he runs 15-15 or something in there the week before.
I would have been in contention.
But Ryan, you're right. There's a fine line about trying to peak athletes just right, and I did a very poor job at that in my early years with those Michigan teams, and we did average at the state meet. We did much better at regionals. I think probably because I had them peaking at regionals intentionally, because you only get top 3 teams and you get out. It wasn't like we were guaranteed to ever get out of these regionals. We had to run well that day to get into the state meet. And so, it's hard. Peaking is we've done two types of peaking. We've done a long stretch of slow regression,
like a 6 week,
out,
like
and then we've done
between 3 and 7 miles every week.
And then we've done more aggressive reduction of about a 3-week phase out, and really, I think that works better, keeping them sharper longer.
Like a 55
definitely gives them a better chance to do better.
Yeah, this is like high school, like 55 to 50 to like
40. Mid 40s.
Yeah, low 40s, high 30s, I'd say.
Yep.
But last week.
Yeah, there's one thing I was also reading about tapering recently was they're saying that, like, say the state meet, whatever, like the following week, that they're saying the week before to kind of have a harder week, and then the week before that have an easier week. So like, they're saying some kids need a hard week before going to the state. Not a hard week, but harder than the previous week. And I just think tapering go.
Yeah, great point. But I wouldn't use the word week. I would use the words workouts. Like this particular week, my workouts are really aggressive. Yeah, we definitely we probably put an extra rest day in between some of the workouts. So we were resting maybe 2 days instead of 1 day. And so every third day we would do a poignant workout. But those workouts, they were going to be fast, and they were going to be on point and on pace. And what we were trying to do for that workout, whether the state meet was, that time or whatever, those workouts were going to be aggressive. Yeah.
Yeah. One example of like an aggressive workout that we did during indoor track season my junior year that I like to think about is this was before I set my 420 PR, high school PR. And we did, so I knew I was around low 420 shape. So I thought, okay, I actually stole this workout from Nick Simmons and not before Nick Simmons was YouTube Nick Simmons.
Yeah.
This was like Nick's like pro runner Nick Simmons.
Yeah.
And they did a peak workout whenever he was going train for one of his 800s. They did.
Are you gonna say the Brooks Beast?
3x400.
Yeah.
And they went like all out every
50,
single one.
Yeah, they went
like 52, 51, 53, something like that on all three. And they did it with like 2 minutes rest. So I did the same thing. It's a mile though. I'm just going a mile, not 800. So I did 800s.
Right.
And we did 3 minutes rest.
We doubled it.
And so I knew I was in around 420 shape. So I said, I'm going to do the first 2 at 210.
Yep.
And if I can't do the first 2 at 210, then I'm gonna do it at whatever I can.
Right.
I'm gonna do the first one at 210 because I know I can do one at 210. I'm gonna try and do the next one at 210.
And what'd you run them in? The first 2?
I went 210, and then I think
it was 211.
Yeah, like 211. It was like right on pace.
Yeah, and then 209.
And then my last one was supposed to be all out.
Mm-hmm.
But not like going to the tank all out, because you never want to go to the tank and work out.
Yeah.
It was like all out 95%. The extra 5% is going to the tank. And I ran a 209 on the last one. And I knew that whatever I could run the last one in, add that to 210 would be about the pace I could run for a mile. And I ran 209, which came out to 210 plus the 209.
419.
Or 419.
Yeah.
And I ended up running 420.5 8 days later.
In the full mile, which is roughly around 419.
No, it was 1600.
1600?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's indoors as well. And outdoors. So outdoors, I guess it could be.
But that proves that if you're really doing your homework, Garrett, Ryan, if you're doing your homework, you understand that pacing is all about numbers. And if you hit the pace, he could run a 205 and probably come back 5 minutes later and probably run another 210 or 205. But that's not the workout. The workout says this based on this rest. And if you're doing it right.
Yeah, the point of the workout was the third rep. The third rep was the workout.
And too many people
the first 2 were just to get me tired.
And too many people don't count that third mile as important.
Yeah.
They just think that third mile in a 5K is to see what you got left in the tank. And
it's
wrong.
not that. Yeah, it's very
not,
wrong.
No.
Yeah. And a lot of coaches will say, oh, that's when you got to find it in you. Well, how are you going to find it in you if you don't physically have it in you? Like,
you want to know how to find it in you? Have legs left.
Yeah.
Have something that you can feel your legs.
Have juice in your legs.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's like, it just takes practice and experience to know what's the balance between I need some juice left or I have too much juice left.
Yeah.
Or I don't have juice left. It's finding I have just enough juice left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of juice? Orange?
Cranberry.
I was just say, you're talking about cross country a lot. I don't even know anything about you track wise. Like going to like your senior with indoor and outdoor.
Nah,
senior year.
I don't even want to hear any more about senior year because.
Oh yeah.
Well, all right, real quick, I'll just sum it up. Alex had horrible allergies and ran terrible, but almost won states.
Outdoors never went well for me because, as I said, I have horrible allergies.
Really?
Like awful. We're still working on it.
The only reason we did well junior year,
I ran a 420. I ran a 420. My PR was indoors for a reason because it was winter before spring came.
Yeah.
He ran 2 422s outdoors, very consistent outdoors.
Yeah.
But you were taking serious allergy shots in Arkansas.
Yeah, I would have to get 4 shots a week for my allergies.
That was reality.
Jeez.
So great point, Garrett.
And that was his junior year, and then senior year he had like a huge Garrett moment, and like when I ran 442.
Yep. We moved from one state to the other, so the whole adjustment in this spring environment in South Carolina
it was like new allergies.
Yep.
They weren't quite as bad as Arkansas. I'll say that Arkansas, and also because I was getting older and I'm kind of more adapting. Arkansas was awful compared to from before. Arkansas was New Mexico, and in New Mexico they don't have anything that grows, so you don't have allergies.
Yeah. But his training wasn't,
unless you're allergic to tumbleweeds.
Yeah.
But
your training wasn't as strong either.
Yeah, I also wasn't as serious about running.
He had signed. I mean, what do you care at that point?
Oh,
I mean, you do care.
My senior year, I signed, and it kind of got in my head like, oh, I'm already signing on a scholarship. There's not much more I need to do.
And you looked at me halfway through the track season, and you said, I'm already training for cross country next year, right?
And that's fair. That is fair. At the same time, you do want that glory of winning a state championship, but at the end of the day, my
main focus senior year actually for outdoors was winning a state
team.
title for my team in the 4x8.
For the team.
Yeah.
He's never done anything with the team or for
Yeah,
a team.
I was like, I won individually. I want to win something with my team.
Which he did win the 4x8.
We did go on to win the 4x8, which was a quite exciting.
It was
race.
epic. Yeah. If you get a chance to see the South Carolina 4A state championship 4x8 in 2018.
19.
No, 19.
2019. Unbelievable race. You will see a lot of changes in leads and
we're not gonna.
It's awesome. Awesome race to watch.
Sorry, Wes.
Garrett, you've shown me a few of yours that I've enjoyed, but that was one for the ages.
Yeah.
We probably shouldn't have won that race, but we did.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have won the.
There's a lot of races that I shouldn't have won. If we
anyways,
back at my career.
Like I was going back to what I was gonna go for. So you didn't really, in a way, when you get to that point, you sign and you're like, yeah, I want to win a state title, but at what cost? If I want to, compete well in college, I got to sacrifice this. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think a lot of guys do kind of get caught up on like high school accolades. And then when they get to college, they kind of just, plummet.
Yeah, it's funny when you go to college and you're like, oh, I'm a state champion. And then the next guy next to you is like, so am I.
Yeah.
We all like, oh, well.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, and I was actually a state champion in like a real state instead of Arkansas.
Yeah. So.
Like our state actually was good at running.
Yeah.
Like Virginia or something.
If you ran one race in Arkansas in cross country, you qualified yourself to run the state finals.
Yeah, the qualifier for cross country in Arkansas was run a race.
One race. It had to be in the state of Arkansas.
Yeah.
That was the rule.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You couldn't run it in Missouri.
Because we did go to Missouri and run some, and those races didn't count for your seeds.
Yeah.
I think actually my junior season, I think I only ran one race in Arkansas. Because there's just nobody to race it. There was one really good kid who was just way ahead of everybody, who I like wanted to beat, but he was just
he didn't run many in Arkansas either.
No, he didn't. Well, yeah, he had to get out. He obviously had to get out of state, especially as good as he was, to go find competition. But yeah.
Awesome questions, man.
Yeah. So one quick thing I was gonna ask. So how do you think that do you think you transitioned well going from, and obviously I feel like your dad's coaching helped you out a lot there with your longer tempos and stuff. Do you think you transitioned well as far as training going from high school to college?
Yes, I think one of the biggest changes was mileage. I think my change from mileage though was not quite as significant as somebody like you.
Yeah.
Or Jacob on our team. Like we got a kid on our team who was running 25, 35 miles a week max in high school.
Yeah.
Compared to me that I did have experience between 60 to 65 miles at some points in high school. But like once you get to college, like
you're going to do that every week.
That's
a short week.
If you're running 60 to 65, you're not running enough.
Yeah, dude. And
I touched that like very few times in high school.
Again, this week I'm gonna hit around like 75 to 80 miles, and I'm like, where did this come from? I thought I was an 800 runner. Like I never would have saw this coming, but here I am. And real quick before, Ryan, I think do you have anything else before I ask this last question? Then we'll go into the rapid fire questions, or?
I guess that was one quick question. What's just the relationship? Like, it's kind of what he said, but like, what's the relationship of your dad coaching you? Like that's always extra. Like, you can't skip a long run because like your coach knows if you did the long run or not. You know what I mean? Like,
or cut it short, right?
Yeah.
So it definitely did. It definitely did make. I definitely had that accountability there every single day.
Yeah.
And so that really helped with like, hey, if I wanted to skip a run, I had to convince him that I needed to skip a run.
Yeah. Like
it was, I would do research. I would have to research why I needed to skip this run. There were some times where dad and coach clashed at some points. Sometimes, especially like deep in a workout where I'm not having a great workout, he's pushing me and my testosterone's high.
Yeah.
And he's getting at me, and I'm just not having it that day.
Yeah.
Because one, I'm not having a good workout. Two, I'm all sweaty and gross, and nobody's happy when they're all sweaty and gross.
Yeah.
And three, my testosterone is high.
Yeah, shooting through the roof.
Yeah. So you say the wrong thing, and it sometimes
escalates.
A couple times. Yeah. But yeah.
So from my perspective, Ryan, I say this wholeheartedly. Alex was the easiest kid to ever coach. He was intrinsically motivated to get out and run, get up and run, 5 a.m. and go up to the track. I haven't done my workout for the day, and we still need that speed workout. It's 9:30 and it's dark. Let's go to the track. That's where I was. I was able to do those kinds of crazy different times and watch this kid be so motivated to get better. My motivation, was just kind of steering the direction.
Yeah.
What he was referring to was, I think, maybe an isolated one incident where I knew mentally the only way for him to get to a 420 level versus a 428 level the previous year was to understand that this has got to suck sometimes. It's really workouts just got to be awful, and you can't just quit them.
Yeah.
You can't just walk away. And so I think there was more of a challenge of a mental toughness and stuff like that. But we had one knockdown drag out on the track, and I walked away and I said, as a dad, I never want that interaction with him again.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
And so I knew a level, and I never went past that level anymore. And so now I'm allowing Coach Stincy to try and challenge that level as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And honestly, I feel like you as a coach alone, not even in the father figure, you let go of him and you trust in Coach Stincy fully to coach your son, and, you believe in him fully. Because there's a lot of coaches in high school, whatever, that their athletes will be in college and they'll still look to them and be like, hey, like, my coach sucks so much. Like, and in some cases it's true,
Yes.
But it is true, but you have to trust in the coach no matter what, because
trust in the process, trust in the program.
Yeah. And literally, and me and Ryan have talked about this all the time. If you don't trust in your coach, you can't get anything done. Yeah. Nothing. Yeah.
100%. 100%. Even if the coach is wrong and you buy into the program and you buy into the process, something good is coming out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one more coach question, Garrett, real quick.
Yeah.
This is a coaching question. You were talking about how you're telling Alex, like, in the race, like, you're 6 seconds, 6-7 seconds behind or whatever. Mm-hmm. When as a coach do you know to, like, tell your runner, hey, like, starting the race, and when to shut up and just let the runner run? Because I struggle with that.
I'd never stop coaching during a race. A lot of coaches try to, and a lot of coaches do. They just sit back and watch it unfold, and then they'll talk about it a little bit. I don't think they talk enough about it, because you learn so much each time. And so
I don't think runners ever have a race that they can't learn from. So
within a race.
So I think that's one thing he understood great, is in races, when I had a bad race, there was something else to it. Like, it was either training, it was mental, any outside source, like, there was something to it.
Yeah.
And he understood that even during the races. Like, I never felt during a race, because if you hear anybody during a race, it's going to be my dad. I had kids from other schools come up to me. I couldn't hear my dad, but I could hear your dad.
Yeah.
They're like, your dad was cheering for me. I was right next to you trying to beat you. And I was like, yeah, I know. It's pretty cool.
So Ryan, going back to the answer to the question is, I turn around and just say positive things.
Yeah.
Like, it might be just structural. It might be, I need you to relax and do this, and kind of change their mechanical approach to that, or just take a deep breath and enjoy the day. You know, like you're coming by me, I can say something quick and something fast, and I figured out to say things that were upbeat and positive to that runner at that moment.
Yeah.
No runner, I don't think any runner is going to get mad at you for like just being encouraging and saying something good about something.
He was pretty good at knowing the days when, he's not having a good race.
Yeah.
I just need to be positive. Just gotta, he just gotta get through this.
Yep.
Compared to, we're having a good race. Let's go. Like, we're gonna be serious. And it almost seemed like during races, like he always knew what to tell me. Just because he understood me as a runner. Because I mean, he was there with me every day.
Yeah.
He was literally there with me every day on my runs. Like, especially sophomore, junior year.
Yeah.
Like, he was my training partner on the bike. Like, he was on the bike next to me every single run I ever did through sophomore, junior year.
Yeah.
So, Ryan, you understand your athletes. You understand each one is different individually, and you read from that, whether it's a workout or races as well. And I just want to encourage you again to be that coach, to be understanding of that athlete right now is not doing well. There's something other than that. But I'm going to find something good at that moment and still coach and still let them know I care about you at this moment right now. And we're going to walk through this together. And if you don't do well, that's on me. And so I just never wanted to get out coached. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Great answer. It helped me a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. And real quick, I just want to say, like, whenever I'm running a race, like, there's always that one distinct voice that I hear, and it's never anybody that I expect usually. Or like, it's usually not my parents ever. Yeah. It's usually like, it'll be like the smallest voice. And that's the only thing I can hear. And it's just like echoing throughout like the entire like building. Like Coach Cincy, for example, he doesn't yell at all. He'll just say,
he sits right next to the track and he whispers.
Yeah. And
he's like out, and he's like calm about it too. He's not like screaming at you. He's like, all right, Alex, let's go.
Yeah. And
like,
I swear,
we're going to make a move here. We're going to Serge, get up there with him. And you're just like, how did I hear that?
Yeah. Oh man. But
all right, I got to get to
him. Compared to him, who's half a mile down the cross country course.
You'll hear me across the track.
Let's pick it up. Short stride.
We did have keywords.
Yeah.
So the other runners didn't realize that was the time to go, or that was a time to relax and hold back.
Yeah. Other runners are just hearing, yeah. Across like half a mile away.
This guy's
like,
yelling,
what is going on?
Yeah. All of a sudden, this other guy passes you.
All right. So
and then all of a sudden, I'm just like, oh, I just gotta go.
Okay, so we'll wrap it up. We're just gonna do our little all-out kick around where we just ask like some rapid-fire questions to you guys. Just try and answer. You don't have to answer as fast as you want, but yeah.
Good.
Okay, so first question, and Ryan, you can ask the next question. What is your favorite track event to run?
The mile.
Why?
Because I'm good at it.
Okay.
And I feel like it's like my best event. Yeah.
Okay.
Favorite event to watch?
Steeplechase.
4x4.
Oh, good answers.
4x4 is a good one.
Yeah, 4x4 is definitely probably. Steeplechase is fun too, though, especially when you
4x4 is just the build up through the whole meet. It's always at the end. It just makes for this could decide, or even just there's always gonna be
drama.
There's always drama, and
always.
Like it's just like the hypest race.
Eastern Michigan could only beat Michigan.
Everyone knows it's the hypest race.
Eastern Michigan could only beat Michigan in one sport, and that was running. And there was an all-out brawl in the 4x4 at the end of a meet. True story. Between
like
Eastern
brawl.
And the University of Michigan going at it. Yeah.
Dang.
Eastern Michigan came around the corner, bopped Michigan's baton out of their hand, and the Michigan guys got pissed.
We did not. He just dropped it.
All right. So
go.
So next question. Track or cross country?
No.
Wait, Ryan's turn.
No, it's Garrett's turn, I think.
Yeah. Track or cross country?
Track. Even though
good answer.
always ran better at cross country,
Good
I still
answer.
like track more.
Track is
Cross.
better.
Oh, well,
Track
I
is
like
where
to
it's at.
watch.
Yeah.
I like the tactics that you can use with cross, though. I really do.
Yeah.
I feel like that's why I'm good at cross, is because I'm really good at the tactics.
Hardest workout you ever done?
Easy. 6.
Okay. Yep.
As many 400s as I could do under 64 with 1 minute rest.
With 1 minute rest.
I made 6, and on the 6th one, I collapsed across the line.
That's true.
And this was junior year.
Okay. Longest long run.
16.
And you did that this year.
Last year.
Okay.
Freshman year, track season. Even though we didn't have track season.
Yeah.
And
yeah, that's you.
Just favorite running shoes, best running shoes you think?
Oh no.
Very controversial right here. The Nike Free Run Distance, baby. The best running shoe ever made.
Yeah, I gotta give a thumbs down.
Them babies last me 2,000 miles. Piece of cake.
But I do
like
have special inserts. I do have special inserts that my family bought into. We sell, distribute.
And one day I threw them out.
But all the time he was using those shoes, he had those inserts.
I still use them.
Mm.
And they still got 2,000 miles on them. And I still wear them.
2,000 miles on that shoe that isn't good for 300. That's why he's injured right there, Garrett. That's why he got hurt.
Where's my bag of shoes?
They're gone. Sit down. We're finishing.
Okay, yeah, come on.
2 more questions.
Where'd I put those bag of shoes?
I don't know. All right.
I know where the bag of shoes are. I ain't telling him.
Hurry up. Go down.
Okay, just ask the next question.
All right.
Next question.
All right.
Sit down.
What do you not recommend doing, but you still do as a runner to this day?
Eating candy.
Eating candy? There's a lot of things.
Eating habits. I have terrible eating habits.
Yeah, I think he likes his sweets.
I was gonna say.
I love ice cream.
I could name a lot of things with Alex.
You could probably name off more than I could have myself.
Yeah. How about eating corn an entire week?
Running in Nike free runs. There's one.
Eating corn for lunch for an entire week during spring break because he didn't want to spend our stipend money.
Dude, don't expose me like that.
Okay.
I don't have my free runs in here.
Well,
yeah, because he threw them out.
Save it for another day.
Go, Ryan.
Since it's a father-son podcast,
that's for
what's
both of
the best moment you two shared running-wise? Either meet, race, practice.
Winning.
Nope. So
he's probably got more sappy stuff.
I do, and this one could make me cry, but
probably will. He's a big.
I don't think we're ready for tears on this podcast yet.
Ryan, every day, I never. I was tired at waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and he would sleep during the day. I had a real job, and I was tired at doing those evening runs. But somehow I always found energy, and I never wanted to miss those moments that I got with that. Yeah, every day was an opportunity to just be blessed, and I didn't miss the ride. I'll be honest. A lot of people are like, you missed the ride. Nope, I was there, not only for him, for my other kids too. But as far as running, Ryan, everyday moment. Yep.
It's easy for him to say because he was biking.
It's a lot easier to bike than run. Yeah.
Actually, I beg to differ, but go ahead.
Not at running pace.
When you're biking 9 miles an hour.
Exactly.
Not biking 20.
Okay.
You just want to stop it there, Garrett?
No. Okay. I guess just last 2 questions.
Just
what? All right. What's your guys'
40-minute podcast turned into 2 hours.
That was my wife of 21 years, for the record.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
Okay, what'd you say?
Congrats. Anyways.
Thanks, man. Go.
What's your guys' favorite cheat meal? Last question.
Every meal for me is a cheat meal. My cheat meal is eating a salad.
All right,
you have a healthy day. I'm cheating on my bad diet.
Okay.
Do you have anything else, Alex, or no? I mean,
Anything
not
else
Alex.
for me?
Not you.
Nah,
No,
I'm
not
good.
you.
Let me
Yeah,
ask
Ryan.
myself some questions.
All right, guys. With that, we're gonna wrap this very long 2-hour podcast up. You guys will probably hear it in 2 parts. This is so long, but yeah. Thank you, Alex and Mr. Brian Zangara, for coming on this podcast.
EasyRunningProgram.com. That's what is going to come out as the website, and we're looking probably in a couple months to release that in the near future. Our dream is early December.
Link in the bio.
Late November.
We definitely will.
Yeah,
definitely
we'll
shout that
definitely,
out.
We'll have his email in there. Coaching's always open for him. He'll take athletes if you're wanting to be coached. He's always looking for someone to coach.
Yep. And
enjoy it.
Yeah, so we'll definitely link that up. And with that, guys, this is Distance Theory Podcast. I'm Garrett Cardo with my co-host.
Ryan Mazoza.
And we'll see you next time.
Thanks.